Welcome to Hood Champion Boxing and Sports. In boxing, you find a way to win or you find a way to lose. Please like and subscribe. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram. Become a member to the channel. If you enjoy my content, I got a lot of views. I don't know why y'all not becoming members. $2.99 a month. It's not a lot. But any kind of support is appreciated. I tell you that. You guys are the real MVPs. Any donations, becoming members to the channel, watching the videos, it helps tremendously. Trust me. But that being said, King Canelo, the abrupt fall of the face of boxing. Matter of fact, let me do this because this right here is about Canelo, man. This is not about me. So let's give this man the respect he deserves, and I'm not going to sit here and try to steal the shine with my handsome face. Now check it out. Look, this is the fall of a king, people. We need to understand what we're dealing with. Matter of fact, let me do this. Yeah, there we go. We need to understand, appreciate what we had in Canelo. Yo, he's on his way out. Who's going to succeed this man? So everybody has a comment. Everybody has something slick to say. A concentric few will laud Canelo for what he brought to the sport of boxing. But I'm going to tell you this. When he's gone, he's gone. And there's no one who can replace this man. Now, once upon a time, Canelo Álvarez didn't just rule boxing, okay? Here's what y'all need to understand. Canelo Álvarez, he was boxing. He still is boxing, but he's on the way out. This man came from Guadalajara, Jalisco, Mexico, to Madison Square Garden. He talked to anybody in between. His name was synonymous with greatness, wealth, and control. He was the pay-per-view king, the modern gladiator with movie star calm and granite confidence and a granite chin. But today, when you look at Mr. Guadalajara, Jalisco, Canelo feels more like a myth fading in real time. When you look at the loss to Crawford, you look at his performances before Crawford, pay attention to what he said since losing to Crawford. Doesn't want to fight for titles, doesn't care anymore. He's not worried about rankings. He just wants to fight, pick up interesting fights, and finish off his career fighting those kind of fights. The once untouchable redhead has become a living cautionary tale. A reminder that no matter how great you are, everyone needs to understand is the clock always wins. And the truth is, a Canelo story is no longer just about belts or money. It's about legacy, man. And legacies in boxing are written not by how you rise, but how you fall. So, how will history remember Canelo Álvarez? You know, I don't know. But I do think if Canelo retired today, I think his record would be extraordinary. World titles in multiple weight classes. I think it's 4 weight classes. Wins over Triple G, Cotto, Kovalev, and Plant. And of course, I have an opinion about some of these, but I'm going to take that out of it. I'm just going to give this man his respect. You know what I'm saying? But he did beat Triple G, beat Cotto, Kovalev, beat Plant, carried Mexican boxing on his shoulders for a decade, redefining what global superstardom meant in the sport. And he did that while even some of his fellow countrymen, retired boxers, we know we're hating on him. But we know history isn't sentimental. History asks, who did you fight when you were no longer comfortable? History asks, did you dare to challenge the impossible, or did you protect your image? I think Canelo would be remembered for his brilliance, yes, but also for the politics, the catch weights, the cherry-pick timing. You know, he was the perfectionist who fought everyone on his terms. He learned from Floyd Mayweather. Until the night a fighter named Terrence Crawford shattered that illusion. So is the legacy in jeopardy now? Look, I'll say this. Canelo's legacy took a massive hit after the Crawford loss. Not because losing to Bud is shameful, because I think we've all realized by now that Crawford is just a different kind of species. You know what I'm saying? Bud is a generational technician. He's got the genetics from his parents. That's why he's able to do what he does at the age of 38. But you got to understand, losing to Bud is not shameful. But the issue is what a loss represented for Canelo and his fans. You know, Canelo was younger, but some would say he really, as far as the wear and tear, he was older than Crawford. He was heavier, stronger. But yet, when you look at him, Canelo just seemed to look a bit slow. He looked very predictable. He looked like a king fighting to prove he still ruled. Instead of fighting because he loved the war, it's just, I'm going to prove to y'all that I'm still the ruler. I'm still the face of boxing. I'm still that guy. But it's not because he really wanted to. Because the love for the war is gone. It's almost like it felt obligatory. But I'm going to tell you this right now. That fight with Omaha, Nebraska's finest stripped away the aura. The aura that said Canelo's too smart, too strong, too complete for anyone. Crawford showed that brilliance can fade, that the rhythm of time doesn't care about how many Lambos you own or how big your payday is. It does not matter. And for the first time, people weren't saying who can beat Canelo. They were saying who should Canelo fight next before it's too late. Canelo should stop before he gets stopped. Now, are fans going to forgive Canelo for his decline? Look, man, Canelo got some loyal fans, but he also got some fans who are kind of fickle and shit. They jump ship on Canelo and saying all kind of horrible stuff about him. I even saw some fans saying Mexican fans don't like him, they don't love him, Canelo's a white boy. I said, damn, where did that come from? That was in my comments, some of those videos. That's probably some of the most ignorant shit I've ever heard or read. So that just lets you know, man, they got assholes everywhere. Every country, no matter the language being spoken, this shit with colorism is wild to me. That shit blew my mind when I heard that. But for the most part, I'll say this. Mexican pride runs deep, and for years, the Mexican people, even Mexican Americans, they supported Canelo because he carried that flag like a warlord. But, you know, fans aren't blind. They see the slippage. They see the slower head movement, the flat feet, the reduced volume, the missing snap. They see it. So some are always going to stand by him. The way people stood by Roy Jones, Pacquiao after their peaks. And speaking of Pacquiao's going to be fighting Rolly Romero. And the whole country, the Philippines, things shut down when Pacquiao fights. They still love him. Still support him. But for some of the others, man, you know, they moved on to new blood. Some of those guys, some of those fans like Crawford, and just some of the fans as a whole, they're rooting for Ennis. Even guys like Benavidez. So you're seeing fans who understand that Canelo's on the decline, those who aren't still standing by him, they're kind of looking for the next person to get behind. So forgiveness in boxing is earned through authenticity. If Canelo admits he's no longer in his prime but still wants to fight for pride, fans will respect that. But if he keeps selling himself as still the best when the eyes tell a different story, forgiveness fades. You just got to keep it real, you know what I'm saying? Like the young boys say, no blue hat, no blue hat. So could this be Canelo's last ride? Look, every great fighter has that one last ride moment. the battle that defines how we remember them. For Canelo, that could be a rematch against Crawford or a final war against David Benavidez on his way out, a kind of passing of the torch. That could be the $250 million fight he gets. That's the last fight. But let's be real now. Let's not take it to the stupid. That kind of fight might destroy what's left of him. You know what I mean? Could you imagine him rematching Crawford and then fighting David Benavidez? Shit, Canelo's not as explosive, not as elusive, and he doesn't have that gas tank that he once had. Right now, especially after the Crawford loss, him returning, he would probably be half full at best when it comes to offense, defense, gas tank. But half full for Canelo may be more than enough for him to get some really entertaining wins and possibly a couple of highlight reel knockouts against some less than stellar opposition. But decent opposition. So maybe Canelo's final chapter isn't about proving dominance. It's about closing the book with dignity. If he chooses the right exit, hey, a farewell fight in Mexico, fireworks, tears, legacy talk, he can end his story on his own terms. If not, we might see the legend get brutally knocked out trying to prove a point, which is what I don't think anybody wants to see happen to Canelo. So was there a rise and fall of boxing's cash king? Look, I'll say this. Canelo became the face of boxing's business empire. He was the money. The $350 million DAZN deal, the sold-out stadiums, the endorsements, he made boxing feel like he really made it feel like luxury again after Mayweather departed. But as his body aged and his performances dipped, the business started looking at new faces. Turki Alalshikh, Saudi Arabia's boxing kingmaker, now controls the biggest purses, and he's chasing the next superstar, and he got his eyes on Hamza Shiraz. We all already know that. He likes Terence Crawford, don't get me wrong, but that Hamza Shiraz, that's really what he wanted for Canelo. I think even Turki thought Canelo would beat Crawford, and then Hamza Shiraz would fight Canelo, and probably was hoping Hamza would knock out Canelo. So the bottom line is he used to set the market. And although he's with Turki Alalshikh, I think Canelo's just a part of the market now. And even though he's going to make good money, that's the hardest fall for any fighter, when your name still sells, but your skills no longer scare. And I think that's exactly what's happened to Canelo. Once the face of boxing, now fading fast. We'll see when he comes back how things go, but I don't know. I just know there was a time where everything stopped for Canelo. When he returns, I don't know if everything's going to stop for him anymore. You know what I'm saying? When he comes back during fight week, and when fight week passes, a fan's going to be half excited, half worried now. The glow may be fading, man. We know Canelo's not a young lion. They got these young lions who are coming up. They're trying to put him on Canelo. Instead, I think Canelo's seen more as a wounded veteran, and he's still going to want to try to remind us of who he was. But the bottom line is boxing doesn't wait for anyone. There's always another star ready to take the throne. And Canelo can feel that. I'm sure he feels that heat behind him, man. As he's getting ready to go into surgery, and I'm sure he'll be thinking about it while he's recovering. And for sure, next time he's in a locker room or in the gym and he's wrapping his hands, I'm sure he'll be thinking, damn, am I still the face of boxing? I once was the face of boxing. I'm fading now. That's a reality you got to come to grips with. Now, you may say, Hood Champion, how do you know that? Because I'm a retired guy. I remember how that shit was. Getting ready to retire, being nervous, being scared, not knowing how it's going to be. Am I going to have to work out of obligation? I'm not going to have to work. I got 4 kids, a wife. I got, great things going on with investments, but, do I chase money? What do I do? But you know what? It all worked out. But that 2 years before I retired, that shit mentally was very stressing. But, one thing for sure, that stress isn't something that lasts in perpetuity. You know what I'm saying? It's not something you're gonna do forever. Like, you can't stress forever. It goes away. So it may seem a little grim. The idea of I stopped doing something that you've been doing for 20 plus years, like in Canelo's case, and in my case, 25. But it all works out. So Canelo's name, I think it still sells. I think it will continue to still sell. But I don't think his power is going to convince people that he can come out here and dominate at a high level. If for some reason Canelo gets a wild hair in his ass and he's like, yo, I'm going to stay around 5 more years till I'm 40. I don't know about that. You see, you can market experience. Erislandy Lara is a good example. He's about to fight. Janabek Alam-Kanuli. Janabek Alam-Kanuli is a beast. But they're marketing that experience. That's what everybody's talking about with Lara. But the reality is you can't sell youth. You know what I'm saying? You can sell nostalgia, but not speed. Canelo, look, he will probably still draw eyes because of who he is. He's Canelo from Guadalajara, Jalisco. But that fear factor is gone, man. Fighters no longer, I doubt they're going to look across the ring and see an executioner. They're seeing an opportunity, a springboard, someone or something that can help catapult them to superstardom. Bigger paychecks. Canelo ain't nothing but a legend scalp now. A paycheck and a legacy booster in one night. Crawford got his scalp. Bivol got his scalp. Mayweather got his scalp. I got my opinion on the first 2 Triple G fights, but I'm going to leave that alone. But for these other guys, the Hamza Shirazes, even a Eubank Jr., they saying, shit, I want to get that legend scalp too. So Canelo's got to be very careful because this is what happens when you take, this is what happens when you start to, I say when time takes your power. I word it that way. This is what happens when time takes your power. And every new fighter is going to smell blood in the water. So who's the greatest of this era? I think Canelo was the best of this era. Undisputed champion, skillful, consistent, global. But every era ends. Mayweather had his, Pacquiao had his. Now it is really Crawford and Inoue having theirs. You know what I'm saying? But Canelo's greatness isn't gone. It's just complete. It happens. Time to wrap it up. He doesn't need to chase validation anymore, man. You know what I'm saying? But he does need to protect what's left of his health and his dignity before this beautiful story turns tragic. And I'm just being real. So, the end of Canelo's era, I say so. I say so. It's kind of abrupt too, man. I just didn't that text he put out, I just didn't expect to see him word something like, he's tired, he don't care about the sanctioning bodies, doesn't care about rankings, doesn't care about titles. He made history, his legacy is cemented. He just wants a couple interesting fights that interest him. It's like, damn, that shit happened fast, didn't it? So I guess here we are. The end of an era. Canelo Álvarez, from the golden boy of Mexico to the king of boxing, and now to a veteran staring down his own reflection. Little redhead kid out there in Guadalajara, Jalisco. Went to the boxing gym, grew up in a boxing family, was bullied, called cheesehead, carrot head, tangerine face, all kind of crazy shit they called him when he was being verbally bullied in Mexico. But he'd whip their ass. You made fun of him, he'd whip their ass. Turned pro at 15 because he had a child, a daughter already. Fighting pro men. Fighting men as a pro at age 15, getting punched in the face with 8-ounce gloves as a 15-year-old. What were you doing at 15? And went on to become the face of boxing, man. That shit is beyond impressive. Gave us wars. Gave us controversies. Gave us master classes. And unforgettable nights. Became one of the highest paid athletes in sports history. Whether you loved him, you hated him, or you didn't have an opinion on him. You watched him. But now the kingdom's silent. The crown feels heavy. And the king, he knows the world moves on. Canelo's legacy will live forever, not because he never fell, because he hasn't got destroyed in the ring by anyone. So I don't want to say he's taken a hard fall. Now he's never been destroyed in the ring by anyone. But I think his legacy will live forever because at his best he made us believe that nobody could touch him. And there aren't many fighters who put on those gloves where you're like, this dude is unbeatable. But Canelo's gone on to, even after that loss with Crawford, when they talk about him, I think Canelo will still be spoken about as seen as immortal. You know what I'm saying? Because he was never really destroyed by anyone. And let me tell you something, man. That belief that nobody could touch Canelo for nearly 15 years, that shit, or almost 20 years. But I think that to have that kind of belief about you as a professional fighter, especially even now on your way out, that stuff was worth every single punch that he threw and every single punch that he took. Because he's one of the few that people watched him and felt like, you know what, it was just impossible to beat him, no matter what weight class he was in. There was even a time where they would consider him going up to heavyweight and fighting Joshua or Usyk. And many people felt he'd beat them. That's the aura of invincibility this dude had that enveloped Canelo. Anyway, y'all keep cool. Canelo's legacy has come to an end. And that's the harsh truth. But let's see how he finishes out his career. That's what I want to see. So, still more to come. Shout out to the veterans, all 7 continents. I appreciate the support as always. Leave that donation for that fried rice and chicken wings. Become a member to the channel. And I'm in the breeze.